if I told you that she still thinks about you every single day, yet you'll never see her name appear on your phone again? She's watching from the shadows, quietly checking your stories, reading through your old messages, and reliving the way you made her feel. But she remains silent. She stays hidden. And unless you understand the reason behind that, you'll stay trapped, confused, hurting, and stuck in a waiting game you were never meant to win. Today, I'm going to help you fully understand why she vanished, why she watches without speaking, and how you can take back control of the entire situation without uttering a single word. If you stay with me until the end, you'll never see her or yourself the same way again. You deserve the truth. You deserve to reclaim your power. You deserve to stop suffering in silence. And that process begins right now. My goal is to turn this channel into a weapon for men who are done chasing, done second-guessing themselves, and done drowning in emotional confusion. If you believe that knowledge can transform your life, if you want to help spread this strength to other men who need it, then show your support by subscribing, liking, and commenting. That's how you make sure this message reaches the men who need it most. Together, we're building a generation of unstoppable men. Men who don't chase, they lead. Let's begin. Number 1, the silent battlefield. Each time she sits alone with her thoughts, an internal war is set into motion. You might assume she has forgotten about you. You might believe she no longer cares. But behind the images she posts and the laughter you glimpse, there's a silent struggle you'll never get to see. One side of her heart is drawn back toward you, pulled by the weight of every memory she tries to suppress. She recalls how effortlessly you made her laugh. She remembers the late-night talks where she felt seen, valued, and understood in ways few men have made her feel. She misses the safety of knowing that someone truly cared, not just for her appearance, but for her soul. Her heart once raced when your name lit up her phone. Her world felt more secure with you in it. That kind of longing doesn't just disappear, it lingers like smoke long after the fire is gone. Every day, even for just a moment, she thinks of you. She glances at old photos, rereads your conversations, wonders where you are, who you're with, and whether you ever think about her too. But standing firmly on the other side of her mind is fear. Fear that if she reaches out, you won't respond the way she hopes. Fear that vulnerability will cost her pride. Fear that you've already moved on, found someone better, or outgrown her. That fear paralyzes her. It stops her fingers before they type. It smothers her instincts before they surface. It's not indifference keeping her silent. It's self-protection. And it's not just fear. Her pride builds a wall between what she feels and what she allows herself to show. Pride urges her to wait. It convinces her that whoever speaks first loses. It poisons her with the belief that if he truly missed you, he'd be the one to reach out. So she watches her phone, silently hoping to see your name, yet refusing to be the one who breaks the silence. Then her ego takes control. It doesn't whisper, it commands. Ego tells her, you must be desired, not the one who begs. It convinces her that reaching out wouldn't just be a risk, it would be humiliating. In her mind, even a simple text becomes a battle between her desire for connection and the image she's trying to maintain. And each second she remains silent is a second she feels both pain and a strange sense of victory. Pain from the silence that reminds her of what she's lost, and victory because she hasn't surrendered her pride. This duality torments her in ways you can't imagine. Some nights, she almost gives in. She almost sends that message. She almost allows herself to be vulnerable. But at the last second, fear and pride crush her desire, and she locks her heart away again. And here's what matters. The longer you hold your silence, the heavier the burden becomes on her side of the battlefield. When you don't give in, when you don't reach out, when you don't chase, you deny her the comfort she secretly craves. She expected you to break. She thought you'd be the first to fold. But when you don't, it shakes her. It disrupts the story she's been telling herself to stay emotionally safe. If you reach out first, she feels relief. She wins without lifting a finger. But if you remain silent, disciplined and composed, her foundation begins to crack. Doubts start to grow. Anxiety sets in. The memories of you don't fade, they sharpen. They become more vivid, more painful, more consuming. Silence becomes your strongest weapon, not because you're punishing her, but because it forces her to confront the truth she's been avoiding. It makes her question herself. It makes her wonder, was letting him go the biggest mistake I ever made? Her silence doesn't mean she doesn't care. It means she's too afraid to lose her image, too proud to admit what she feels. She's caught between missing you and fearing that you've already left her behind. Number 2, why silence is her strategy. Her silence doesn't mean she's forgotten you. It's not evidence that she's moved on. Her silence is a deliberate strategy, a move crafted to keep the power firmly in her hands. The moment she senses you might miss her, the second she feels you're wondering about her, she knows she's holding the advantage. And to maintain that edge, she doesn't need to say a single word. All she has to do is remain quiet. Silence raises questions, it stirs doubt, it creates emotional instability in the one who still cares. And she knows this. She understands that if she reaches out first, she risks giving up control. If she sends that message, if she shows even a glimpse of emotion, she risks looking like the one who cares more. And in her world, that's a role she refuses to take. By staying silent, she's betting on one thing, that your emotions will crack before hers. She's betting that your thoughts will turn against you, that you'll start spiraling, overanalyzing, scrolling through her posts, checking her stories, hoping for any signal. She's counting on your silence becoming so unbearable that you'll eventually act, not out of clarity, but just to escape the tension. That you'll reach out, even if it's just a simple, hope you're doing okay, just to feel something again. And the moment you do, you lose more than you realize. You kill the mystery, you erase the doubt, you answer every silent question she's been wrestling with. You confirm to her that you're still emotionally tied, still waiting, still invested. And once she sees this, everything shifts. The grip she thought she was losing gets stronger. The control she feared slipping away returns. She doesn't even need to give you a warm reply. She can leave you on read. She can respond coldly or not at all. It doesn't matter, because the power isn't in the reply. The power is in knowing that you cared enough to reach out first. That confirmation is all she needs. You may think you're just being polite. You may tell yourself you're acting maturely, but in this emotional battlefield, your intentions mean nothing. Only your actions matter. And reaching out, no matter how harmless it may seem, gives away your position. It shows your emotional vulnerability, while she stays safely in hiding, untouched. Silence is her weapon because it requires no effort, no texts, no calls, no explanations, just stillness. She simply waits, confident that most men won't survive emotional silence, that most men need resolution more than they need dignity, that most men eventually will break. Her silence isn't strength, it's fear in disguise, pride behind a mask. But it works, because in a world where emotional power matters, it's the one who seems less invested who holds the upper hand. And silence creates the illusion of indifference, even if it's ripping her apart inside. If you reach out, you give her certainty. You end her doubt. You hand her emotional victory without her needing to risk anything. But if you remain silent, if you master your emotions, if you hold your ground, you force her to sit with the emptiness she tried to ignore. You make her live with the consequences of her decision. You compel her to ask herself if walking away was a mistake. The silence that once made her feel safe slowly turns into her enemy. And the longer it drags on, the louder it gets inside her mind. At first, she'll convince herself you're just being stubborn. Then she'll accuse you of playing games. But as the days stretch into weeks, and the weeks roll into months, her story begins to unravel. The voice of doubt starts to rise above the voice of pride. What if you really have moved on? What if you finally let go? What if she's lost you, for good? That's when her silence no longer protects her. That's when it starts to destroy her. And that's when the emotional tables begin to turn. Number 3, the illusion of moving on. You might see her smiling in pictures, wearing the same smile that once made your heart skip. You might see her dancing at parties, posing on beaches, or reposting quotes about strength, independence, and healing. And it might hit you like a punch to the chest. It might feel like she's already found happiness without you. Like she never cared as deeply as you thought she did. But here's what most men never understand. People don't post their truth. They post the version of themselves they want others to believe. Behind that smile may be a heart aching with regret. Behind those quotes about healing could be nights of tears and whispered pain. Behind every perfect-looking photo could be a loneliness she can't shake, no matter how much attention she gets. She isn't posting because she's healed. She's posting because she's hiding. Hiding from the silence that creeps in when the lights go off. Hiding from the truth that without you, something still feels missing. Every photo is a shield. Every caption is armor. Every highlight reel is a barrier between the world and the war raging inside her chest. She's not moving on as easily as it appears. What you're seeing is an act, a curated illusion, a desperate attempt to convince herself that she's fine, that she's strong, that she's over it. But the truth reveals itself when the noise fades, when the drinks wear off, when her friends go home, and she lies in bed in the dark, alone with her thoughts. That's when the mask slips. That's when she scrolls through your old messages. That's when she replays your voice in her head. That's when she remembers what it felt like to be loved by someone who saw her, not just for her body, but for her soul. That pain, it hits harder than any sad song. It's louder than any quote she posts about moving forward. And if, in that moment of weakness, you break the silence, if you send that text, what you're doing is releasing her from that pain. You're offering her a hit of validation. You're relieving her guilt, her regret, her confusion, if only for a moment. She doesn't have to feel the weight of losing you if you keep reminding her that she still has access to you. But if you stay silent, if you stand firm in your strength, then the silence starts doing its job. It begins to press down on her. It begins to dig deep into the spaces that no follower, no party, no fake smile can ever reach. Over time, the silence becomes unbearable, not because you're punishing her, but because she's forced to confront what she's truly lost. And no amount of likes, attention, or distractions can replace it. Real regret isn't felt in loud, crowded rooms. It's born in the quiet moments when no one's watching, and she finally has to face herself. Number 4, the moment you lose. The moment you make that first move, just a simple message, a like, a comment, you lose. The second you react to one of her posts thinking it's innocent, you've already handed her the win. That single message, no matter how harmless it seems, screams one undeniable truth. She still controls your emotions. She still holds space in your heart. And worst of all, she still has you exactly where she wants you, hoping, wondering, waiting. Even if it's just a polite check-in, even if it's disguised as something casual, it doesn't go unnoticed. That act feeds her ego like air to a flame. It doesn't matter what you say. What matters is that you said something at all. Your silence was power. But that message? It tells her that she still matters more to you than your own peace. That she still ranks higher than your pride. And once she knows that, her urgency to miss you disappears. Her sense of loss fades. Why would she long for someone she can still emotionally access whenever she wants? The brutal truth is this: nothing is less attractive to a woman than a man who can't hold his ground. A man who breaks under emotional pressure. A man whose need for connection outweighs his self-respect. When you reach out, even with the smallest gesture, you become predictable. And predictability kills attraction. It chips away at the image of strength she once associated with you. The man who once held himself like a king becomes just another guy chasing a ghost. You may think those messages will remind her of the good times. You may believe they'll bring her closer. But every attempt does the opposite. It shrinks your presence in her eyes. It confirms why she walked away in the first place. Because real men of value, don't chase. They don't plead. They don't try to prove their worth. They stand still. They hold their line. They let the weight of their absence speak louder than any words ever could. If you want her to miss you, truly miss you, then you must vanish. You must become that unanswered question in her mind. That blank space she can't fill, that lingering thought that maybe, just maybe, she lost something she can never replace. And the only way to create that feeling is through disciplined silence. Not silence as a trick. Not silence for a few days just to see what happens, but real, unwavering silence. The kind that says, I do not chase what walked away, I do not beg to be seen, I choose me. That kind of silence? It rewrites her entire perception of you. It doesn't just make her miss you, it makes her reevaluate you. You become the one who slipped through her fingers, the one who didn't crack, the one who walked away not because he didn't care, but because he cared about himself more. And once you break your silence, even once, you reset everything. You lose all the emotional leverage you've built. You go back to being ordinary, back to being expected, back to being the guy she always assumed would be there. But if you hold firm, if you guard your emotions like royalty guards the crown, you become unforgettable. You become a mystery, a story she can't finish, a man she can't reach. Number 5, the power of emotional control. Men who move the world don't do it by shouting louder, reacting faster, or chasing harder. They move it by mastering restraint, by staying grounded while everything else wavers. They don't let fleeting emotions dictate permanent outcomes. They know that their worth is not defined by who accepts or rejects them. It's defined by who they are with or without validation. Emotional control, more than just a tactic. It's a weapon. It's the trait that separates boys from men. It's the line between ordinary and exceptional. And once you master it, you don't just become stronger in relationships, you become stronger in every area of life. When you can sit in silence and not react, when you feel the pull to reach out and still choose stillness, when you miss her with every part of your being but remain unmoved, that is power. That's when you stop being a memory she manages and become a mystery she obsesses over. You stop being the man she scrolls past and start being the man she can't stop thinking about. Not because you're chasing her, but because you're nowhere to be found. Understand this. Women don't lie awake at night thinking about the men who are always available. They don't lose sleep over the ones who constantly remind them of their presence. They miss the men who disappeared into greatness, the ones who valued their future over their past, the men who built something so powerful that their absence becomes louder than anyone else's presence. Every time you want to text her, every time you pick up your phone and your heart whispers, just check. Just once, you must stop. You must remember, every second you resist that urge, you grow stronger. You build tension in her mind. You sow seeds of regret in her heart. You make yourself unforgettable, not by doing more, but by doing nothing. Number 6, your new mindset. It begins with a decision, a moment so clear, so strong that it changes everything. From this point forward, you are no longer the man who waits, no longer the man who chases after what chose to walk away. You're not the man who sits in the past staring at closed doors. That man is gone. From today, you rise. You become the center of gravity in your own life. You build something so full, so powerful, so rich in purpose, that her absence is just a ripple in your ocean, not a storm. You stop interpreting her silence as rejection. You begin to see it as redirection. Every moment you don't hear from her becomes an investment back into yourself, into your mind, your body, your mission, your empire. You're not here to beg for someone who doubted your value. You're here to create a life so extraordinary, it makes them regret ever losing access to you. She didn't break you when she left. What broke were the illusions you used to live under. The belief that you needed her to feel whole, the false idea that your worth depended on her presence. The truth is, you lose nothing when she walks away, but you lose everything when you give up yourself trying to win her back. Every ounce of dignity, every bit of peace, every shred of power, you throw it away if you shrink yourself for someone who couldn't see your value the first time. That man, that version of you, he's finished. From now on, you move forward, not for her, but for you. You stop chasing ghosts. You stop staring at old memories. You stop needing closure. You become the kind of man no one forgets, not because you fought for attention, but because you vanished and became untouchable. And yes, she will think of you. But when she does, it won't be with peace. It will be with a quiet ache, a haunting sense of loss. Because she'll know, deep down, that the man who once would have done anything for her is now the man she can never reach again. This is your path. This is your power. And it begins the moment you stop looking back and start becoming everything you were meant to be. What are your views on this? Share your thoughts in the comments below. I will personally read all of your comments. And if you seriously want to level up in life, don't forget to show some love by hitting the like and subscribe button. Stay strong. Until next time.